Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today's the day we kind of finish up getting the footings ready for forms. And right here we're putting in a little bit of structural fill. Probably, I don't know, 3 to 6 inches of structural fill. And basically what we're doing is we're raking it out and then running a compactor on it. And we're sitting on really solid ground right here, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's, of course, it's all rock here, but basically we got a laser going and we're shooting the top of this structural fill and running a compactor on it. And once these 3 sides get filled up, then we'll dig the last section of this, the last section right there. I like the drone shots. It just gives you a better perspective of what's going on. The structural fill, it took 1 truckload of material it's 188 feet of footings lengthwise. The shop is 60 by 34. And you can see they're doing a pretty good job getting it leveled out. I like the video of the drone when you use the tracking. It tracks really smoothly. Like right now I have the tracking on that tractor. And it gives you a nice picture. The backhoe you see in the picture is a John Deere 410 Extend-A-Hoe. Pretty nice machine. And right here all the footings are dug and compacted. And now I'm bringing down the rebar. I'm using number 4 epoxy coated rebar. It doesn't call for that or anything, but I like to try to up the game. And we're also, so right here we're setting all the forms. And we got the laser out and squaring it all up. Now I'm using a system called Accuform. I think it's called Accuform. You see those orange plastic things? Basically, instead of using Adobes, you set these Accuform plastic things, and they basically spread the forms exactly 16 inches apart, and they have little, they recess down into the footing, and basically you use those to set your rebar in, and it works really well. It saves on labor. I forget the cost of them. I think they're $125 for a box of 25, I think. I'll have to double check that. Anyway, right here I'm cutting the final pieces for the forms. I had to cut a few, probably, I don't know, six pieces to make this thing all nice and perfect. I like the epoxy coated rebar. I think the reason that I use that now is a while ago when I used to build houses down by the ocean, the rebar, you would see some old jobs and the rebar would rust internally and basically it would just disintegrate inside the footing or inside the concrete. And that seemed like, so when in certain areas they started requiring galvanized anchor bolts and epoxy coated rebar, and I just thought it's a good idea anyway, even if it's not required. So on this shop I'm doing all epoxy coated rebar, and I'm also doing all galvanized anchor bolts. So you know, you always try to improve anytime I do anything, I like to learn new things and also try to improve on what I've done in the past. And I was skeptical about these little orange plastic things but they keep the rebar perfectly where it's supposed to be and also the right height. And it was a labor saver for sure. We basically 3 of us set all these forms and put all the rebar in. I don't know. They didn't show up till, what, 8:30? So 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. It probably took us 6 hours for 3 guys to set all these forms and install all the rebar. And that's not bad. Although before I pour, I do need to go around and block some of the high spots in the keep the concrete from leaking out the bottom. But it really looked good, and somewhere in this video you'll see some drone shots from above. This footage right here is the GoPro Hero 7. Right here I'm just cutting up. I need 2, 4, 6, 8. I need 8 corners, and you need a minimum of 24-inch overlap. I'm cutting these at 6 feet, so I'm going to have a 3-foot overlap. And this cutter bender is really easy to use, so I just measure 3 feet and bend these. Good exercise. I had bought this new laser. It's a DeWalt. It has 3 different lasers in it, and you're supposed to be able to use it to square up buildings and stuff, but it doesn't work unless the detector can detect the laser on the other end, and this particular laser did not work, and the detector would not detect it. So that was kind of a bummer. I actually wanted to buy the Stabila layout station because I thought that would be it seems like that's a better quality one made in Germany. So I'm going to return that DeWalt one and actually buy the Stabila one. Right here you can see the big truck up there. I'm selling more rocks, and on this day I actually got to sell 5 truckloads of rocks because I had them all ready up here, and all he had to do was sit in one place, load his truck, and go. And this particular guy is really talented at building retaining walls out of this style rock. So he really likes these rocks, and he's pretty excited to get them. So he bought 5 dump truck loads of these rocks on this day. And that was a big help because it helps pay for my construction of the big shop. He's actually, I've tried to get him to work for me a few times. He's really busy because, you know, up in the mountains, as soon as the snow goes away, these guys, you know, they've got jobs lined up all through the summer. So it's really tough to get them unless you schedule it way ahead of time. But he is a really good guy, and yeah, I was happy to sell him rocks, and hopefully I'll get him to do some work for me in the future. But I've got an endless supply of rocks on my property, so anytime you do any kind of trenching at all, or digging or grading, you're pulling up these beautiful rocks. So I guess that'll be a little bit of a cash flow for me in the future. Right here I'm flying the drone up over and you can see how nice it looks with those Accuform little orange pieces. It really makes the workmanship look really good. I spread these things apart at 4 foot on center, and right now the guys are just tying the joints together where it overlaps. And I'm also using epoxy coated tie wire, and yeah, it just makes for a nice looking system. I do have inspection tomorrow, and hopefully I'll pass. I don't see why it wouldn't, but you never know. It'll be my first time getting an inspection in this area, and there you can see a little view from it from above. It does look nice and square, actually. And that's my garage lot right there. It's a pretty nice, it's going to be a nice peaceful place to work and store my equipment and stuff. Right there in the middle of the pad you can see the epoxy coated risers that I'll have, and those are calls out on the plans every 4 feet, and we'll stab those in on the day of the pour. Yeah, the Accuform, it seems to be, this is my first time using it, those little orange things. They seem to work really well, and as long as the inspection goes good and they don't have a problem with it, I will definitely use these in the future. This ground is really hard. Actually, there was a few spots they couldn't even drive a stake in it. I really like the drone footage, actually. If I got to learn how to fly it a little better, but it makes for a nice footage. That's a good shot right there. This lot I spent about, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 days by myself with my excavator digging on this lot. And then I had a couple days where I brought a dozer and this big John Deere backhoe in. They helped me for 2 days. And now we're finally going to pull this thing out of the ground, get started on it. I still have a lot of digging to do. Once I get this thing up out of the ground, I'll have to do a lot of grading to basically divert the water away from the garage. Here's a little view of it. We also put a grounded, I used to just use these solid copper rods for the grounding for the electrical. But here they just bend up a 20-foot stick and have it a foot above the garage floor in the wall. Anyway, this is a long video. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will see you next time. Later.